So January the 6th, the day that will live in infamy. And by infamy, I mean dragged up every year by a bunch of autistic Democrats who think democracy on that faithless day was in danger of being overthrown, the republic was coming to an end, and the scariest thing in the Capitol that day was, this guy. Predictably, as the sunrise then, the level of cope cranked out by the mainstream media has reached fever pitch as they collectively wet themselves and cry foul for hours on end. What a glorious day it shall be. Here is how people can think about the current political spectrum in the mind of a lefty. It's much less the classical red versus blue, of which there is a colorful swaying spectrum between the two, and much more of a us versus them kind of mentality, because they think of anyone to the right of Mao and Stalin is a threat to their hegemonic aspirations. Anyone, even a lefty who disagrees with any aspect of the doctrine, is going to be shafted for it. But when it comes to January 6th, the main reason why this is causing the media's heads to spin faster than a fat man walking past freshly glazed donuts is rather simple. In conjunction with their pie-in-the-sky delusional dreams of having a one-party state, the left views January 6th not like the rest of us, with a yawn and a lazy half-cocked eyebrow raise, but more akin to the panic of someone who's just received a police knock on the door after doing enough cocaine to bring Jeffrey Epstein back to life. Because of the cling to this dictatorial lefty's utopian state and this radical us versus them mindset, they think of January 6th as a practice event for Trump's inevitable coup. Case in point articles like this in The Atlantic. Trump's next coup has already begun. January 6th was a practice. Donald Trump's GOP is much better positioned to subvert the next election. Translate this into non-spastic speak. This means, help, help, our party sucks. We're panicking and everyone is noticing our miserable failure. Oh, woe is us, Trump is gonna kill us in 2024. All of this bullshit is just another brick in the wall for them to declare Trump's 2024 win as fixed, because they're petty fucking losers who can't fathom the possibility that the majority of people hate them and their policies suck. I've said this before, and you're going to see this from now up until 2024. The phrase American democracy is going to be plastered everywhere. And if you pay attention, you are likely going to end up emulating my latest reaction to that phrase, eye-rolling and then mumbling, ugh, fuck off. Election integrity, or rather the destruction thereof, is the main aim behind this story, and they're trying to sow the seeds of distrust to the faithful monkeys who worship at the altar of corporate propaganda, so that when Trump inevitably coats the walls with them, they can all say, oh look, this is the proof the election was stolen. Nah! That's the reaction they're going to pull, by the way. And can we just focus on the absurdity of that scenario for a moment? After the last year, the US has been a complete disaster. The country is worse off in literally every single way, including the coup death toll. According to polling, the Republicans have a double-digit lead in virtually every single issue going into the midterms. If you read the Dems' piss-poor excuses for news, you will notice no deviation away from the policies that has caused these record-shattering catastrophes. Despite the poor polling, despite them openly admitting that the Republicans are gearing up to wipe them off the face of the map in the up-and-coming midterms, despite record number of Democrats retiring, saying they aren't going to run for re-election in 2022, despite them admitting that Trump is looming large and ready to retake the White House, their only recourse to all of that is to just try and claim that if the country doesn't want more of the shit show, it's because the Republicans rigged it. The level of sociopathic arrogance on anyone who believes that, the cognitive dissonance one has to possess to think this, is mind-blowing. Like I said before, they have contested every Republican win since Clinton, and by the looks of it, they sure as hell are going to do it all over again in 2024. This is why they use colorful language to hide their bullshit. When they say things like voter suppression, in reality that means defortification and increasing measures that make voter fraud less likely. 15 states have made it harder to apply for mail-in ballots, 4 states have limited mail-in ballot drop boxes, and 8 states have imposed harder ID requirements. None of which prohibit one from voting up and casting a ballot, mind you, unless you're trying to pull some shady-ass shit. Remember, these are the jackasses who think voter ID is racist. That's who we're dealing with. Vaccine passports to do everything, great, but ID to vote, ooh, very oppressive. These are the people who will chastise those who found it rather bizarre that in 2020 you had thousands of mail-in ballots appear in the wee hours of the morning and all for one guy. And then the winner, quote-unquote, was decided several days after the election day. But when it comes to January 6th, let's just cut through the bullshit for a moment, shall we? There was no insurrection. Hell, even the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Instigation, has come out and said there was no insurrection, seeing as it was not an organized attempt by a group to overthrow the government, and anyone who thinks of this is just fucking mad. I'm looking at you, Ted Cruz, who bizarrely called January 6th a violent terrorist attack. By the looks of things, he has decided he does not want to remain in the Senate all that much longer. Then again, his competition is someone who took lessons on how to be cool from a 90s fucking episodes of The Simpsons, so who the hell knows? Let's pray a Republican who has a set of stones challenges his blobby ass when the time comes. Best comment I've seen on this is a comment from a guy called Kevin Dahl. I call it Congress receiving a no-knock warrant day. I thought that's pretty good. You can expect nothing less from the minions of Monkeyland who've yet to change course in their stupidly hellish debt spiraling policies and once again decide that all of their failures is someone else's fault. They have decided to try and wield the One Ring, and much like Gollum, it's driven them completely fucking mad. And that's all for today. Until next time.